So this guy's been a school teacher. He's a Vietnam veteran. He's the current chairman of the Montgomery County Eagle Forum and a member of Montgomery County Right to Life. Please welcome Mr. Ray Baker.
Nice to see so many people mad. You know, there's a famous line from a movie where Jack Nicholson says, "You want the truth? You can't handle the truth." Well, I've been teaching for a long time, and one thing I found out is my students know when you're not telling them the truth. And they're as mad as you are. One of them got in touch with me recently and got me really angry because she went off to college and she wanted to hear a continuation of the truth that she felt that she got in my classroom. But the professor in the college told her that our founding fathers started the Revolutionary War so that they could get rich. It was an economic thing for them. She got in touch with me and asked me, was there any truth to that? And I told her no. She said, well, how many people know that? And I said, well, I assume everybody knows it because we all studied it in history, but maybe we've forgotten it. So when they gave me an opportunity to come and speak to you, I wanted to share some of that truth with you. Now, you may know some of this stuff, so bear with me for a moment because I'm going to read through it because I got it from credible sources. I checked about 8 or 10 different sources to make sure I knew the truth before I came to share it with you. So I want you to know something about the men who signed our declaration and the price they paid. And then I have a challenge for you. There were 24 lawyers and jurists among those people. 11 were merchants, 9 were farmers, large plantation owners. They were men of means and all well educated. Carter Braxton of Virginia was a wealthy planter and trader, and he saw his ship swept from the seas by the British Navy. He had to sell his home and his properties to pay off his debts after the war, and he died in rags. Thomas McKean was so hounded by the British that he was forced to move his family almost constantly. He served in the Congress without pay while his family was kept in hiding in the woods. His possessions were taken from him, and his only reward was poverty. Richard Stockton was captured by the British and lost everything during the British invasion of New Jersey. He was very badly treated but was released several years into the war. He died a pauper at age 51. Vandals and soldiers looted the property of William Ellery, Lyman Hall, George Clymer, George Walton, Burton Gwinnett, Thomas Hayward Jr., Edward Rutledge, and Arthur Middleton. Many of them were captured by the British during the war, so they lost everything. At the Battle of Yorktown, Thomas Nelson Jr. noticed that his home was being used by General Cornwallis as his headquarters. He went to General Washington personally and said, "Open fire." He lost his home and everything else. He died bankrupt. Francis Lewis had his home and properties destroyed. The enemy jailed his wife, and she died a few months after she was put into jail. John Hart was driven from his wife's bedside as she was dying. His 13 children were driven into the woods, and they hid out there for the duration of the war. When he returned home, he found his wife had died. He never saw his 13 children again. He died a few months later in poverty. Many of the others made the same kinds of sacrifices. They continued to serve after the war. They wrote many of the documents of our government to ensure the freedoms that we have would continue on after their deaths. They were not wild-eyed rabble-rousers, ruffians, or as the people on the other side would call them today, radical extremists like we are. They were soft-spoken men of means and education. They had security, but they valued liberty much more. They wrote in our document, "For the support of this declaration with firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." Today, I'm asking you, are you willing to take that same pledge? Just simply by being here, you said one thing. You're pledging your lives or a part of your lives. But you know if you make that pledge, you're going to pay a price. It's going to cost you something. You're going to have to get actively involved in finding candidates who will run, who will support the things that we believe in. You're going to have to support them financially with your fortunes. You're going to have to give up your time to go out and campaign for them. But also, something we've done in the past that I don't want us to ever do again, you're going to have to hold them accountable for what they promise. The only way you can support these principles if you believe in the principles of our founding documents. First of all, that we are endowed by our Creator with these unalienable rights. They are not given to us by the government. And if you do not believe that these principles are still true today, look at Iran. The young people in Iran are standing in the streets for liberty, although they've never had the freedoms that we have. And some of them, like our founding fathers, have already given their lives, because liberty is that precious. I thank you, and I hope you can handle the truth and will always demand the truth from our leaders. Now, to our politicians, there are some words that are cliche, but I've heard many people say them tonight. And to us, they're a prayer. I ask, God, please bless America. Thank you.